Or is everything back?
Hey, I'm Dr. P. Not only am I a leadership coach, I'm a change agent and I'm a race scholar. I've used my study of race to dismantle systems and organizations, but I also use that to help you as the individual become a better leader for your families and for your community.
Hey, that was Dr. P, the leadership coach. Hey, welcome everybody. I'm Brother Washington Muhammad. He, him. I have on a black leather jacket, kind of a striped hoodie, black tee, no hat on today. And I'm dedicated and committed to protecting all Black lives, no matter the cost, no matter the gains or loss. And it's great to see you. Hey, we're back. We took a break last week. Julian, no, we took a break last week, and we're back. It's excellent. It's awesome to see everybody. I'm one of the co-founders of this Community Solidarity Response Network, and I had no idea when Jabril Bey and Michael Leonardi, they're on Facebook, so you can hit them up and say what's up. When they came up with this idea to be able to organize outside of religion and outside of politics, I had no idea with so many great people that we will meet during this process. Look, enough about me. We want to get right to our video minutes to talk about some of the things that happened last week and some of the things that we've got coming up. And we really want to just let you know what's happening. So if you're in the chat, say what's up with us. I see Mike already up in it. So if you're in the chat, say hi to us. We will definitely get back to you. But I want to turn it over right now to Jody. So if you can introduce yourself and start with our mission statement.
Yep. What's up, everybody? Jody J. Summers, child of the system, better known as Spoken Truth. Again, we apologize for the technical difficulties we had last week.
Julian.
In a way, 2020 has been a technical difficulty, but we're still here. We're still strong, standing, fighting for causes that affect us, our community, and pushing forward into next year. So join me in our mission statement. This is what keeps us going. This is what's kept us together for the last 6 years, whether we're in person, at a meeting ground, have a backdrop, or out in the community. We are still active in making change in our community because that's what we stand for, no matter what it looks like. So, and I guess the description on myself, yeah, I got to talk about myself a little bit. But for those that are listening and are not watching, I am a brown-skinned bear of a man who is covered in tattoos and crystals and wristbands and clothing from my city and the community around me that helps me to be great. My pronouns are him, he, and we because of everything I do in my community. It's not a one-man job. So this is our mission statement. We are the Community Solidarity Response Network of Toledo, formed on November 25th, 2014, the day after that it was announced that the killer, a Ferguson, Missouri police officer of Michael Brown, an unarmed teenager, would not be indicted. We bring awareness to the injustices experienced by Black men, women, and children who are disproportionately murdered, attacked, provoked, and harassed by law enforcement. Police brutality has to end. We bring awareness to the fact that most often police brutality goes without consequence or accountability. Police impunity has to end. We utilize the tactics of protest, civil disobedience, event disruption, and citizen advocacy to give voice to those who are otherwise voiceless. We facilitate progressive community-based events that help foster self-development, and we discuss measures to hold local leadership accountable to their sworn duties, be they clergy, politician, law enforcement, educators, etc. We want justice equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, regardless of class, creed, or color. For all lives to matter, Black lives must matter. An injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Hey, thanks, Jody. In a couple of seconds, we're going to pass it over to Julian. He's going to open up with our guiding principles. He's there with Ruth. So this is our first pandemic remote CSRN video minute.
That works, right? Because we did it in the beginning before we all started meeting up at our secret location.
Right. And this is our other secret location. You know, if we tell you where it is, we gotta come to your house. All right. So it's best that you don't know. But we thank everybody in the community that's allowed us to meet at different locations and opening their doors to allow us to plan effectively some of the things that we do, regardless if it's a protest or we're disrupting government official business, or if it's a die-in or whatever it is. We've been definitely fortunate to be able to plan the way that we've been able to week in, week out. Hey, look, let's go ahead and turn it over to Julian. Julian, if you could slide the screen that way or that way and come on in. Yeah, all right. Yes, sir. Look at that.
You can just slide them out the way. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
Hi,
That's all right. All right.
Hey, everybody. My name is Julian Mack. Pronouns he, him. I am a peanut butter colored brown black man with dreadlocks, a burgundy shirt, and a Black Power fist emblem as a necklace. All right. What we're doing today is our guiding principles. There we go. So with everything that we do, it has to be grounded in foundations of what we believe in. And this is what we do that keeps us grounded. Thriving instead of surviving. Our vision is based on the world we want, not the world we are currently in. We seek to transform, not simply react. We want our people to thrive, not just exist, and think beyond the possible. Ashe.
Ashe.
And Ashe means one who
changes a thing or makes a thing change.
Thank you, Ruth.
You're welcome.
Experimentation and innovation must be built into our work. Embrace the best tools, practices, and tactics, and leave those behind that no longer serve us. Ashe.
Ashe.
Evaluation and assessment must be built into our culture. Critical reflection must be part of all of our work. We learn from our mistakes and our victories. Ashe.
Ashe.
Principled struggle can exist in a positive environment. We must be honest with one another by embracing direct and loving communication. Ashe.
Ashe.
Love and self-love is practiced in every element of all we do. Love and self-love must be the driver of our work and the indicator of our success. Without this principle and without healing, we will harm each other and undermine our movement. Ashe.
Ashe.
360-degree vision. We honor the past struggles and wisdom from elders. The work we do today builds the foundation of movements of tomorrow. We consider our mark on future generations. Ashe.
Ashe.
Self-care means we build resilient spaces by budgeting time, energy, and resources for healing. Self-care is a regular, consistent, intentional, and essential practice. Ashe.
Ashe.
The most directly affected people are experts at their own lives and should be in leadership at the center of our movement and telling our stories directly. Ashe.
Ashe.
Training and leadership development should be fundamental. Our movement must constantly grow and leadership must constantly multiply. Ashe.
Ashe.
And all Black lives matter. Queer Black lives, trans Black lives, formerly and presently incarcerated Black lives, poor working class Black lives, differently abled Black lives, Black men and women's lives, immigrant Black lives, Black elderly and children's lives. All Black lives matter. We are the creators of this space. We throw no one under the bus. We rise together. Ashe.
Ashe.
All right. All right. How you doing, Brother Washington?
I'm doing just fine. I've got Jody with me right here. Yeah, I got Jody right here with me. We're at our location, and one of the things that Vera Lucia brought up to me last week, she wanted to know what's our next move on the red light cameras. She knows that you've been involved in the red light cameras. She also wanted to know what's going on at TCI with the COVID, and now the National Guard is stepping in to replace some of the prison guards, and and whatever else that you wanted to talk about. But those were the Lucia wanted to really ask about the real light cameras and what's going on at TCI. So if you could slide us back out and talk about that, be much appreciated.
No problem. Thank you, Brother Washington. So let's start off first with the red light cameras. Just, there's been a community initiative to get a signature to quote unquote ban the cam. This is an interesting community initiative that we're trying to get on the ballot because it includes a very diverse coalition of Toledoans from all political ideologies. And so, but the red light cameras are coming back. We perceive that as policing for profit. The Red Flex company has proved to be corrupt, and we don't think it's a good partnership with Toledo. And so the next step is really is a bit of a difficult step, if I may be honest. We're about halfway to our goal of roughly 10,000 signatures. We started last summer collecting signatures, and what this would do is put it on the ballot for the city of Toledo to vote on whether or not we should have these red light cameras. In addition to that, the language in this particular bill would eliminate the camera guns that TPD uses oftentimes on the highway. So here's the thing: we're in the middle of a pandemic, but we need another about roughly 3,000 to 4,000 signatures from Toledo voters on this petition as soon as possible. So if you'd like to sign that, or if you can circulate that to people, even in this socially distanced, masked up time, I would challenge you to send us a message, or you can go to the Ban the Cam page on Facebook, hashtag Ban the Cam, and you can get more information there, or just send me your CSRN a message. But that's really the next step, is we want to take it to the people and give the people the chance to decide whether or not we should be policed this way. The other thing Brother Washington brought up was the Toledo Correctional Institution, and the National Guard has been brought in. This is being done because of really the complete negligence of the health and safety of our incarcerated brothers and sisters, right? And so the National Guard has been brought in, right? This is basically because so many people have been sick at the state institution right here in Toledo. And so it's an issue. It's a serious issue. It's a serious health issue. We do keep in contact with our brother David Easley, who's on the inside, and he has brought up issues about them not testing properly and not being able to socially distance from people who have COVID, which is an issue, a serious issue. And so we really need to address the health and safety of our most vulnerable people, right? And we have to remember the people that are incarcerated, most of them have not even been free since COVID was a thing. So that means bringing diseases to people, infecting them, and then not giving them proper health care, which is deplorable. And cannot be allowed really right here in our own city. Right? It's a state-run institution, but it's right here in our community. These are people that are still in our community. So, um, I challenge you to, keep stay paying attention at least to what's going on with our incarcerated brothers and sisters. If it moves you, please write a letter to the governor or get in time or join up with the Ohio Prisoners Justice League. It's a great organization that's doing work um, around the prison industrial complex on a statewide level here in Ohio. And Chastity Bowman, I believe, is a good person to plug in with the Ohio Prisoners Justice League. Those are the first two topics. Brother Washington, I can get into more, but I did see a question from Mike in the chat that I wanted to address. So as far as the petition with the ban the cam, this is slightly different than a moveon.org petition. This is actually legally binding. Right. So what essentially we're doing is putting this on the ballot, getting signatures. So they have to be verified Toledo voters or registered, not verified, registered Toledo voters for this to be put on the ballot. And we have to get about roughly 7,000 signatures for it to be on the ballot for people to vote on in the next election as an issue, whether or not they want that or not.
All right, I don't know if Ruth is going to break now, but when we come back, we wanted to hear from Ruth, but also we wanted to hear some of your views on Casey Goodson in Columbus and the Columbus uprising that's taking place right now. And we've had our own Casey Goodsons here in Toledo too. So when we get back to hear from Ruth, but also we got to bring up these local issues too, Julian. Everybody wanted to hear what's our statement on these things. So if she's going to take us to a break and come back with Ruth, and then maybe we can get into Casey Goodson and also some of the deaths that are happening here in Toledo.
Romaine O'Neal. All right, absolutely. We'll be back after the break. This is a ad about the Breathe Act, which is a great piece of legislation, our generation's civil rights legislation. This is more information about it. We'll be right back.
Breathe. To be alive.
Can y'all hear us or our mic?
To feel free. Breathe. Is this what liberation tastes like? Fresh air, exposition. Rest.
Right there.
I can't breathe. Hold up!
All right. So welcome back. One of the things that's happened over the past couple weeks since we last had a meeting, and I'm not sure how many of you could hear that, but since the last time we streamed, there's a couple milestones that are relevant and a couple other things that have happened locally. It's been 6 months since the May 30th protest for George Floyd. In those 6 months, we have seen some changes, right, to law enforcement, but we've seen also more of the same, right, an unacceptable level of things being the same, right, to the point where just 2 weeks ago, or just about a week and a half ago, Kwame O'Neal was shot by TPD and killed. All right, 32 shot at 32 times, hit roughly 19 times, and I can just say that I personally have struggled with this because so much of the work that we do is to prevent some of the most inhumane aspects of living in America from happening, right? Like dying at the hands of our government, like dying at the hands of those who are supposed to be protecting and serving us as a community. And so, when we say things like defund the police, when we say things like our current public safety model is not working, we mean what we say. And we're getting to the point where we need to have actual structural change. Because one of the things that has not been reported much on is the 911 tape that the woman made, right, who feared for her life in this domestic violence situation, right? And in that call, you can hear the conflict in that woman's voice. She says, after she already calls 911, don't call the police. They're going to kill them. They're going to kill us because we're Black. I just want that to sink in because she ended up being right. No person in our community should have to choose between losing, a member of their family and via violence from the people who are protecting and serving us. No one should have to die that way. We can live in a world where police don't kill people, but we have to restructure the way public safety works. And it starts here locally and goes out, right? We have to have counselors for domestic violence and mental health emergencies, right? When someone is suicidal, we have to invest in these things because that is how we are proactive in preventing these type of deaths from happening, right? No one should be dying that way. So I want to just acknowledge definitely the failure that the city of Toledo had, that TPD had, and it's a failure that didn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way where we just accept our police killing people. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it to Ruth, and she's going to talk about some of the things that have been going on in Columbus down south. All right.
Alrighty, hey everyone. So I'm going to give a quick update for Casey Goodson Jr. in Columbus. On December 4th, Casey Goodson Jr. was walking back to his house from the dentist office. He had stopped by Subway to pick up sandwiches for his 5-year-old brother and his 72-year-old grandmother. There was a police officer nearby, and this police officer had been doing a search, I guess, and decided that Casey Goodson was the person that was the suspect that he needed to apprehend. Casey Goodson Jr. was shot in the back as he tried to enter the house. And as a result, the city of Columbus has gone into an uproar. Now, there was a national call to action for Casey Goodson Jr. on December 12th, and there was also a call to action on the 11th. Both of these took place in Columbus. The one on the 12th took place at the Ohio State House. Now, the national call to action for Casey Goodson Jr. included the following demands: the immediate termination, arrest, and indictment of Jason Meade for the murder of Casey Goodson Jr., the revocation of Jason Meade's pension, the immediate release of evidence to Casey's mother, Tamala Payne. Franklin County Sheriff's Department are expected to cover the funeral expenses of Casey Goodson Jr., to fire the Columbus Police Chief Thomas Quinlan for negligence in failing to contact the Ohio BCI in a timely manner, commitment from Franklin County Commissioners to divest from the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, as well as commitment from the Columbus City Council to divest. And so that boils down to the basic demands of releasing the body cam footage, releasing the police reports, releasing or having an independent autopsy report of Casey Goodson Jr., as well as an independent prosecutor's investigation. So we right now are in the midst of the holiday season, but now just in the past 10 minutes, you've heard of 2 families that will never be the same because of police gun violence. When we talk about refunding Toledo or defunding the police, it honestly boils down to a need for safety. Right now, the police are not the safest option whenever there is a time of danger or chaos. A lot of times they tend to make things worse. They 9 times out of 10 respond to violence as opposed to preventing violence. So what we need to look at, for the most part, especially in Toledo, is how is the budget working for the city of Toledo. Now, I can tell you off the top, the CARES Act money that actually came into the city of Toledo was not actually used in a way that would be beneficial. So when we talk about the FBI, I'm sorry, not the FBI. Oh gosh, I'm having a brain fart. When we talk about the National Guard having to go to the Toledo Correctional Institute, you also have to know that instead of using that CARES money, which came from the federal government, instead of using that for the police department to conduct COVID tests, the Toledo Police Department instead used that money to purchase a drug detection machine. And this drug detection machine is being utilized so that the Toledo Police Department can scan all of the inmates as they come in to become confined citizens for drugs. Now, mind you, this was an article or this was a case that was on the news. Whoever was representing the jail went on the record to say that most of the drugs are coming in from employees, but employees are exempt from using the actual drug detection machine. So we have to look at how our money is being used. And then also, and I'm going to, after this, we'll go to a quick break and I'll come back with some education news with Brother Washington. You have to know that as of this moment, there are budgetary hearings that are taking place. You also have to know that the Toledo Police Union contract, I believe, is up. And one of the things this came out, I want to say either yesterday or day before, when you talk about the police union and their budget and how officers have disciplinary records, According to the article, it says in June, Sergeant Rabb said that destroying disciplinary records, once they can no longer be used in discipline cases, allows officers who have improved to move on from past infractions. He referred back to his previous comments when contacted Tuesday. So what that means is that while we are looking at how the budget works, while we are looking at how policing works, we still have police officers, we have members who are high-level officials in the police department who are stating that having an infraction from years ago no longer applies. And I believe that policing is the only job that is possible in. So we have to make sure that we are keeping a very keen eye on demands that are coming out of police violence. We have to make sure we are keeping a keen eye on how the budget is being created. We have to make sure that we are keeping a keen eye on how mental health is affecting our community. It's a whole big world out there, and we can't get sidetracked by one thing or another. We have to keep our head on the swivel so that we know exactly what's coming next. So with that, I'm going to take a 30-second break, and we will be right back with Brother Washington and Jody.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call Digital Edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
Hey. Hey now,
now we both the same size.
All right,
peek over.
All right, great. Hey, listen, welcome back. And before we bring Jody on to talk about community shout outs and solutions, he's been busy in the community, making the connections as only Jody Summers, child of the system, spoken truth can do. And we're going to hear from him. I want to thank you for your great job on really just letting us know what's going on with the Toledo Police Department. And regardless if we're talking about refund Toledo or defund the police, it's one and the same. And I wanted to just let everybody know that after the May 30th uprising that happened in Toledo, the whole Policeman Patrolman Association has been fenced off. So if you drive by Franklin and Woodruff, you'll see that entire property after May 30th, you think that the people will be in fear of the police, but you see who's really afraid. They have fenced off that whole property from Woodruff almost to Adams, that whole property. So it almost looks like they're expecting us to do a protest right in front of the Toledo Policeman Patrolman Association. It just looks like that's what they want. But we'll talk about that at another time because we are really about this work. But speaking about work, Jody, if you could talk about some of the community shout outs and solutions. You've been involved in a lot of things last week. You've got a few other things coming up in the near future. And what's going on with you and some of the things that are going on in the community?
Well, again, we know it's holiday season. A lot of giving and donations are going on. But before I get into that phase, I want to take a pause for a moment because as we spoke on the first case about the young man that was murdered or dispatched with, is a better phrase for police officers to say, or so literally 40 feet outside my door, you could toss a ball very lightly and hit his door. Again, that is my precinct as an elected official. The Weilers 18C is what I try and do that doesn't need publicity, and I don't post or anything like that when I give time or food or counseling or anything like that, because I'm also a youth mental health counselor. So we did stuff that we could do within the area as far as the apartment complex and mental health coaches. We did have a meeting up there, and you can probably see it on my page, just to try and help people out, because mental health and depression and isolation for almost a year takes a lot on people. I believe, and I think I got the message from the news last Sunday or this last Sunday, I did a piece on eviction during the pandemic and how basically if you do live in an underprivileged or area like that, how can it affect your psyche as far as food deserts and no way really to get out except to go to a job, to not be able to afford the things that you can. And then it's still literally like, I'm used to it. I've lived there for over a decade. That's why I took on the position of precinct captain. But yeah, there's still gunshots every night. That's it's not just my poetry or books or anything. That's the reality that I live in. I could move, but how is me moving away, screaming at somebody for living in the community the best way to know how to survive doing helping? So my condolences to the family that won't get to share Christmas. Yes, it was in defense of someone, but again, 32 shots, half of them missed. There was a child in the house. There was a victim in the house. You don't know their correlation or relationship, and you're less than 6 feet away from a person. Your aim should be better. So I applaud them on what they did for the woman, but as far as their tactics, their training, their negotiation, all of that, no, because that's one of the murders or shootings that you hear about that just doesn't get talked about much. Now, onto a little bit happier things. There is a lot of people out here that are doing good things. Of course, we have Chris McBride that did his what was it again?
Men empowerment.
Men empowerment over the whole summer. I'm pretty sure he's still out doing stuff to keep kids engaged, especially because of the holidays. It's pandemic. We are quarantined and all this other stuff, vaccines coming out. So, but that really affects us more than our kids, because our kids and the youth don't really have too many answers. I'm not a screen person. I learned to talk through going on stages and speaking to audiences, and I have adapted enough, but that takes a toll on me. So I know it takes a toll on somebody trying to grow up and find their place in the world. So shout out to Chris McBride. Shout out to the program. Shout out to Duncan for donations, which is coming up, and you'll see it on our page. Get a Dave, Tracy Haynes, Charlie. I can't think of his name, but this is their 11th year doing this, where they basically do a basketball charity game for kids, and I'm thankful I've been involved for like the past 4 years or so. I think the basketball game is going to be held virtually, but basically all the donations that you send to them will be given to kids in underprivileged areas. So I thank them for continuing on, even though with the new procedures and not being able to have the game or being able to shop with the kids or stuff like that. That is still awesome. Shout out to We Act Radio, who is still doing their fundraiser for the artwork and the books and stuff that you can go on their page. I'm part of one of the anthologies. I was also one of the featured radio spots during the pandemic to give people something to comment about and everything like that. So everybody that's out, whether you're in a church, whether you're a small group, a nonprofit, you just went to the store and bought a pack of socks for somebody. Thank you for helping, because a lot of people don't have the hope of whether they're going to see what happens tomorrow. We do have some other things coming up. Again, I don't feel that anything I do outside of CSRN is separate. So my books, my artwork, the performances that I make, that all goes back into my community one way or another. And whether I'm directly giving it to you or another way, I'm thankful to have us here. I guess is that shield, because when you start giving too much away, some people think that you have more than you need. And I'm definitely not one of those people, but I know when I had nothing and there was nobody to help. So we do have the Mother Meech, and we'll be making announcements on our page. We're going to be doing a clothing and food drive-through, drive-by at an art gallery here at Swainville Plaza very soon. You'll see the information up about that. So shout out to the Otswani Project, Mother Meech, Justice in Toledo, Justice and Equality. They had a food drive. Shout out to them. Shout out to, again, anybody that's out there trying to help, no matter where your state is, no matter how big your gift or effort is. A lot of people has lost hope, and a lot of people need to see that there's somebody that is willing to fight with them.
Mm-hmm. You know, before we take it back to Ruth, this is the holiday season, and there are some there's a lot of stress comes along with that. A lot of anxiety comes along with that. A lot of people are out of work. Some people may never go back to work because their jobs went out of business. There are some grounding techniques that you can do. Just Google some positive affirmations, some visualizations, some realistic expectations for what you can spend and what you can buy. It's 2020, so we really need to redefine the whole holiday season anyway. We're not going to be able to do it the same way that we did in 2019. Even the annual Kwanzaa celebration has been changed to only virtual. So everybody's making adjustments with 2020. So for your own mental health, step back, take a breath. It's okay to not spend. It's okay to just not have it like you didn't have it, last year, and treat yourself. Just take a break. Use this as a time to call some family members and maybe mend some relationships that you didn't have time to earlier, this year or maybe last year. So hey, look, let's take it back to Rude. Let's go ahead.
Just real quick too, because he never gets a chance to talk and all that stuff. Since you may probably know more about us than the four of us, do you have any update about Kwanzaa? Is there like planning going on? I know you said there's going to be virtual.
Mm-hmm.
So will we be able to post that up on our page, or what's going on, how people can still continue to celebrate and stuff?
Yeah, we're right now, as a member of the Kwanzaa committee, I've been a member I think for the last 15 years, and this is the first time ever that we didn't have Kwanzaa here in Toledo. So right now we're collaborating with Kwanzaa groups all over the state of Ohio. And the first day after Christmas, the 26th, we'll start a virtual celebration with all of the Kwanzaa groups in Ohio. I don't know what day the Toledo Kwanzaa House is going to have, but we are going to post that on CSRN's page so that everybody can be a part of the virtual experience of self-determination, cooperative economics, unity, purpose, faith, creative expression, and collective work. Those 7 principles that makes us who we are as a people, regardless of your politics, religion, or socio-economic background. All of us need some practical principles that we can all unite on. So, hey, thanks, Jody.
Yep.
And also, and speaking about health, this Friday, if you're in the Wauseon, Ohio area, I'm going to be co-hosting a Spanish town hall. It's going to be socially distanced and safe, and everyone will have their mask and have their temperature taken. Mental health and drug services, substance abuse services among our Latino and Spanish speaking community needs to be lifted up. That conversation needs to be had. Those are our brothers and sisters. We just happen to be colonized by a different European that had a different language. Our colonizers spoke English. The colonizers of the indigenous people of what we call America were colonized by the Spaniards. So they end up having Spanish names and Spanish traditions and the Spanish language, whereas our colonizer was English All right, so, but we're brothers and sisters because we were here long before they even figured out that here was here. So on the 18th of this month, which is Friday, from 6 to 7:30, Church of Wasion in Toledo. We'll put the link on our page. Come out, help support our Spanish-speaking Latino community. Come out and help support the migrant community. If you think that you have it bad, we're really fortunate. We're really fortunate. So come out if you can. Wasion, Ohio. We'll put the link in that post on our page. And hey, look, we're trying to make this happen the best way we can, the safest way we can. So stay safe, stay sanitized, stay sane. Let's throw it back to roof. See if we're going to go on a break.
Yeah.
And hey, we'll wrap it up and summarize when we come back.
Thank you very much, Brother Washington, and thank you for all that you and Jody do. This is a team effort, and I'm grateful for all of y'all, man. And there's so many more beyond just the four of us that you may see. CSRN is, in fact, the community, right? And you know, a lot of times you all will send us messages or be in correspondence with one or some of us, and we do like that participation, right? Because it isn't it's only because of this pandemic, right, that we're meeting in the way that we meet. We are very open organization, and we do genuinely like feedback, so don't hesitate to send us a message. But what I have some updates on is some legislation that just passed with Toledo City Council. For those of you that don't know, I am seeking to be elected next year for Toledo City Council. And so one of the things I try to do is stay updated on what happens each week. They do meet on Tuesdays, sometimes during our meeting or right prior to our 6 o'clock meeting. So some of the information is really, really fresh. So one of the things that happened was Toledo City Council passed 8-4 a legislation that would add source of income as a category landlords can't use to discriminate against people seeking housing. All right, so essentially, this means that landlords would not be able to deny people here in Toledo housing if they have a Section 8 or other type of voucher, right? So we know that poverty discrimination, right, is a thing, and how they will try to shame and take away opportunities from people who are using help from the government, help that the government needs to do. And they do not need to be discriminated against. And this is a great piece of legislation that I think is awesome that passed today. Just to give you all the votes, you know, and this is to show that not all Democrats are equal, or I guess you could say on the poor people's side. So Rob Ludeman, the one Republican on city council, voted against it, but also notable no votes were Matt Cherry, who's a president of city council, Chris Delaney, a former police officer on city council, and to Sandra McPherson, which kind of surprised me, but is one of the four of the new Black appointees to city council. So transparency is what, you know, basically I listed that for, so that we know where folks are going. We know their record when it comes time for them to defend it, or when we need to ask them about it. The other piece of legislation that passed is called Pay to Stay. And I know for a fact Councilman Comives was influential in getting this. And this is a piece of legislation that makes a big difference, especially considering the pandemic that we're in, really the double pandemic of our health and safety, but also the economic crash that so many of us are dealing with. So essentially, pay to stay legislation codifies the ability of tenants to use the fact that they've paid their rent and late fees as a defense to avoid eviction. So we know that, you know, a lot of people are behind with rent, and as we go into these winter months, no one should be getting kicked out on the streets. And so what we hope to happen is that, that's a great piece of legislation that passed. So that's it with the city council update right now. I think we're going to we're going to go straight to the pledge. Back to Brother Washington and Jody.
5 minutes of heat.
All right. If Jody can give us 5 minutes of heat, let's go straight to the pledge.
Okay.
All right.
All righty, everybody. We'll let Brother Washington, while I'll pick out something, explain what 5 minutes of heat is.
All right. 5 minutes of heat. We, years ago, we wanted CSRN to be different. We didn't want to go by Robert's rules of doing business the way that our former slave masters and their children and the black people that love them do it. So not only we open up different by saying all Black Lives Matter, not only we open up talking about the tools that we used before that fail, we don't use them, nor the way that we close out our meetings. So we don't close out our meeting with a gavel that the judges use to lock us up and abuse us and put us in places where we'll never get justice. So we try our best to eliminate all of the symbols that were used against us before. So what we do now is close out with some poetry from Jody Summers. And I'm looking at, Sleepless Thoughts. I'm looking at Blah Blah. I'm looking at Sleepless Thoughts. So Jody, if you could take us home with 5 minutes of heat, and then we'll pass it right back to Ruth with the pledge.
Yep. So again, author, illustrator, poet, whole bunch of other stuff. This is the book that actually came out this year. As I was thinking about all the stuff that 2020 has taken away, I thought about all the stuff that I've done. Programs with the library, which your chapter of Waits has done awesome. And this is my second volume, the hardcover actually, which should be in your library in about another couple of weeks. It'll be on the shelf. You'll be available to go pick it out, because I don't create art or inspiration to get money off of it. I create it to inspire you. So I'm going to go with the short one here, page 36. Sleepless Thoughts seems to work for this instance. And let's begin. Peace. Published September 9th, 2016. When you are born into a country that stole its land from a native race, reminded daily by the color of your skin how your people were enslaved, brainwashed, and displaced, it's hard not to be filled full of rage, anger, and hate. But I just keep a smile on my face and look forward to the day when we all realize we're the entire human race. So something sweet. I do short ones too, haikus and stuff. Oh, and one last thing. And you'll be seeing these on our page. I already let Ruth know as soon as my printer's done and stuff. You guys, this is stickers for this month. The 2020 collection is done. You'll see them on our page. Ruth will be putting up on our website, which she's so awesome, of posters that you'll be able to purchase from us, because we have keychains, t-shirts, and wristbands, and yard signs, and all that. But you'll be able to purchase my artwork that is related directly to Black Lives Matter, to help support in that way. If you can't get a yard sign or a wristband or a button or a sticker or a shirt or a mug or all that other stuff.
I hope y'all caught all that. If you did, you can go back and watch the video.
Yeah, I'll
Thank
make
you.
a little commercial.
Thank you very much, Jody. And we thank all of you for watching. We close out every meeting with our solidarity pledge.
Yeah.
And so please repeat after Ruth.
Oh, our solidarity pledge is the promise that we give to ourselves and to each other to continue to fight in the fight towards justice, equality, and the end of oppression for all. So please repeat after me. Everyone say,
I,
your name,
Brother Washington,
pledge to strive,
pledge to strive
to love my brothers and my sisters
to love my brothers and my sisters
as I love myself.
As
I love myself.
I,
I,
say your name,
Brother Washington,
pledge to strive,
pledge to strive
to study to improve myself
to study to improve myself
spiritually,
spiritually,
mentally,
mentally,
morally,
morally,
and physically
and physically
for the benefit of myself,
for the
for the benefit of myself,
my family,
my
my
family,
family,
and my people.
and
and
my
my people.
I,
I,
say your name,
Brother Washington,
pledge to strive
pledge to strive
to be a part of the solution,
to be a part of the solution,
the process,
the
the
process.
process,
and not the problem.
and not the problem.
I,
I,
say your name,
Brother Washington,
pledge to strive
pledge to strive
to give all that I can spare
to give all that I can spare
of my time,
of
of my time,
my strength,
my
my
strength
strength,
and energy
and energy
to achieve
to achieve
the above said.
the above
the
said.
above said.
Now give yourselves a round of applause. Alrighty, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in for today's video minutes for CSRN. Remember, Black Lives Matter, justice or else, and
All power to the people. Peace.
deuces.